But here's the challenge. Let me give it to you in a philosophical phrase. I tend to be a little philosophical. Here it is. The things that are easy to do are also easy not to do. That's the difference between success and failure. So you've got the choice here today of one of two easies. Easy to or what? Easy not to. I can give you in one sentence how I got rich by the time I was 31. Here it is in one sentence. I did not neglect to do the easy things I could do every day for 6 years. Underline. I did not neglect. That's the key. I found something easy I could do that led to fortune, and I did not neglect to do it. Major reason for not having everything you want in America. Major reason for not having more of what you want in America. More health, more money, more power, more influence, more everything. Major reason why you don't get it. Simple answer. Neglect. Neglect. And here's the problem with neglect. It starts as an infection. And if you don't take care of it, it becomes a disease. And here's what else is the problem. One neglect leads to another. Neglect to do wise things with your money, you'll probably neglect to do wise things with your time. Neglect to do wise things with your time, you'll probably neglect to do wise things with your business. One leads to another, leads to another. Pretty soon, neglect has you by the throat, emptying your purse, emptying your heart, emptying all of your chances for equities and power and all the good things. Neglect. What if you should be walking around the block every day for your good health and you don't? I'm telling you, you're on the wrong track. You should do it, you could do it, you don't do it. That's called formula for disaster. All you've got to do is let that and a few other things accumulate for 6 years, and now you're driving what you don't want to drive, wearing what you don't want to wear, living where you don't want to live, doing what you don't want to do, maybe having become what you really didn't want to become. I'm telling you, that's it. Just neglect along, drift along, and it's got you by the throat. It'll take all your values, leave you with just a little bit of dust in a summer wind, and it'll soon be gone. I hope I said that well. That's it. It's where I found myself at age 25 until my teacher came along and said, Mr. Rohn, up till now you've messed up. Let's see if we can't clean that up and change it all.
You have to understand why you're going through the period that's causing you to make you want to give up. See, the devil has one mission only, is to rob you of your destiny. That's the devil's only job. If he can get you to give up, you have been robbed of your destiny. If he can get you to become a criminal, he robs you of your destiny. If he gets you to never follow your dream, chase your dream, he robs you of your destiny. If he causes you to think that this is all my life is, he has caused you to rob you of your destiny. You just have to understand that Satan has one job, to rob you of your destiny. When you have thoughts that are negative, that's not God, that's Satan. He's doing everything he can to keep you from being who God made you to be. You got to get focused, man. You got to understand that this hard time that you're going through is everything you're going through is preparing you for what you ask God for. Every trial and tribulation you go through prepares you for the life God has for you. All the hard times. First of all, let me just say just one last thing. Now I got to take this picture. You cannot name one single thing that God has not brought you through. If he hasn't brought you through it, he's currently pulling you through it right now. And you know how I know that's true? Because you're sitting in here. Everything you ever thought you would not make it through, you got past it. Now, if you're currently going through something right now, guess what? You're going to get past that too.
Working on my dream, and I want you to think about whatever your dream is. Because I was willing to take a chance, and most people won't do that. Most of the people that you talk to try and bring them into the business, these are not risk takers. Most people have done all that they're ever going to do. They raise a family, they earn a living, and then they die. But people who are running toward their dreams, life has a special kind of meaning. And here's what I will share with you, that in the process of working on your dreams, you are going to incur a lot of disappointment, a lot of failure, a lot of pain, a lot of setbacks, a lot of defeats. But in the process of doing that, you will discover some things about yourself that you don't know right now. What you will realize is that you have greatness within you. What you'll realize is that you're more powerful than you can ever begin to imagine. What you will realize is that you're greater than your circumstances, that you don't have to go through life being a victim. As Jack indicated, I was born in Miami, Florida, in an area called Liberty City, in an abandoned building on a hard linoleum floor with my twin brother. We were 6 weeks of age. We were adopted. When I was in 5th grade, I was identified as EMR, labeled educable, mentally retarded, put back from the 5th grade into the 4th grade, and stayed in that category until I got out of high school. I don't have any college training, but I met a high school teacher who one day changed my life. I was waiting on another student, and when he came in, he said to me, "Young man, go to the board and write what I'm about to tell you." And I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, "Why not?" I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, it doesn't matter. Follow my directions now. I said, I can't do that, sir. He said, why not? I said, because I'm educable, mentally retarded. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, don't ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And that man, Mr. Leroy Washington, did something for me. He started planting seeds in my mind that enabled me to begin to dream, as Dexter has been doing for you. And ladies and gentlemen, I started working on my dream. And most people don't work on their dreams. Why? For many years I didn't. One is because of fear, the fear of failure. What if things don't work out? And the fear of success. What if they do and I can't handle it? The other thing is that most people, ladies and gentlemen, they get comfortable. They stop growing. They stop working on themselves. They stop stretching. They stop pushing themselves. And they end up becoming very cynical about life. And they throw in the towel on themselves, on their families, and on their dreams. And the other thing is that most people don't feel worthy. What I'm doing now, I could have been doing years ago. But because I did not have a college education, because I didn't believe in myself, because I allowed other people's opinion of me to control my destiny, I didn't act on my ideas. So I applaud you for your dreaming, for your running toward your dream. I applaud you for believing in yourself, because that's what life is about. Stretching and challenging, looking for ways that you can begin to improve yourself. And ladies and gentlemen, as a result of stretching out, of acting on my dream, and I don't know what that dream is for you, I can tell you that it's possible. No one could have convinced me that after just over 6 years, I will have my own book entitled Live Your Dreams. Just over 6 years, I will have 5 specials on public television. Just over 6 years, I've done motivational speaking for AT&T, Procter & Gamble, McDonald's Corporation, Xerox, IBM. Just over 6 years. I will now have my own talk show that will premiere on Monday, Labor Day. I'm saying to you, your dream is possible. Your dream is possible. But not only is it important that you believe and begin to know that it's possible for you to live your dream as you run toward it, but I've done something that I want to share with you called Choosing Your Future. In fact, I've developed a set of tapes talking about how to begin to create your own reality by choosing your future. And not only is it important for you to know it's possible for you to choose your future, but it's necessary that you work on yourself, that you develop yourself. It's necessary that you get the energy drainers out of your life, people who don't want anything, people who are not striving, people who are not challenging themselves, people who aren't growing, people who have stopped dreaming. It's necessary that you align yourself with people and attract people into your business who are hungry, people who are unstoppable and unreasonable, people who are refusing to leave life just as it is and who want more. My mother used to say, birds of a feather flock together. If you run around with losers, you will end up a loser. It's necessary that you get the losers out of your life if you want to live your dream.
If you want to be great, the burning sensation is you having to accept that you've picked something up, not as far along in the journey as you want to be, and what you have to learn how to do. If you want to be great, you have to learn to let it burn. And even though your impulse is going to be to turn away from that, to not look at it, to soothe it by saying it's them, it's their fault, they fucked it up, I grew up in the wrong place, like whatever excuse you use to try to let yourself off the hook for not being where you want to be, instead of saying, actually, the power is the ability to let it burn.
Not only is it possible, that's probably the best time to do it. When circumstances and situations are pressing in upon us, the only way we can overcome them is to go within, to actually begin to ask very empowering questions with the awareness that this universal presence and its law will answer any question that you ask. So if you're in a situation that is pressing on you and you ask, what's trying to emerge in my life? What is my gift to share? What is my purpose? Why am I here on the planet? Not just how can I pay my rent, not just how can I stop the pain. You ask empowering questions. The universe will answer these questions in a language and in a way that you can understand.
What is the one power that you have right now in this moment that can change everything?
You have it, I have it, we all have it. It's this one singular individual power that can change anything in our life, regardless of what's happened to us.
I want to find more. All I can. And in that sack of you have to dive in that to find more. Because if you're not willing to go in there and face yourself, you're not gonna find anything. You're gonna live right here on surface, man, right here on surface. So if there is an ending to this world and there is somewhere to go and there's a judgment, you're gonna get there and you might see a chart. And that chart may tell you who you should have been. And now you get the rest of your life to think about that. Man, I could have lived a much better life. I just would have just suffered a little bit more.
Whatever your answer is, you can do it right now, today, starting today, right? It's still possible. You can start doing that right now. It's empowering the present with the future. There is nothing stopping you from making it happen right now. You don't have to feel that way when you're 70. You don't have to feel that way when you're 80. You never, ever have to feel that way if you start doing it right now. And you can do it right now. Even if it feels impossible, you can start working on it right now. You can start trying right now. You can start making plans right now because you're not there yet.
We create our own reality. So that will be true for me. I'm saying you're going to come out the other side of this and you will be unstoppable. Your back's against the wall. You got work to do. Like, let's go.
And so the way I do that is I use my body. Because I've done this with athletes for decades, with billionaire businessmen. If you see somebody gets in a slump of some sort, great athlete, Paul Tudor Jones, one of the greatest financial traders in the history of the world, you know, I've coached him for 22 years. When I came to see him, this is a man who made 200% in 1987 when the stock market had its biggest single crash in the day, percentage-wise still. He made 200% for his clients, more money than anybody could dream of. Then he went to the moon, and he went down to earth, and then he lost money. So I was brought in to turn him around. Well, how do you turn a guy like that around? Yeah. I watched him. His shoulders were down. He was breathing like this. He's sitting like this all the time because he'd been through these failures, and it started to get stored in his body. Now, in this state, this man is a genius, couldn't do it. So I watched films when he was at his best. And he's like standing up and he's doing this. He's this going to do, sell this, make this happen. And the movement, the intensity, the way he used his face. And so I showed him a video of himself today. I showed him a video when he was at his best. And I said, what do you notice? He was like, those are two different people. I said, yes, but we can get back to this guy by just using the body first. Trying to use your mind, you'll go in circles. But I've been teaching for years that a radical change in your body instantly changes your biochemistry. 38 years I've taught it. 2 years ago at Harvard, they did a study, scientifically proven what I've been teaching all these decades, where they call it power posture.
Yeah, the Wonder Woman stance.
Yeah, standing like Wonder Woman or Superman for 2 minutes. Yep. Or like you see guys like this, pull back like that for 2 minutes. Literally increases your testosterone in your biochemistry within 2 minutes by 20%. It drops cortisol by 18%, which is the stress hormone. And it increases your chance of taking a more risky behavior, which is what's required of a leader, by 33%. 2 minutes. Now that's just standing a certain way. I show people use their voice, their body, their movement, which is 10 times more dynamic than just a stiff stance. And when you change your state, your mental, emotional state, you change your performance. Haven't you had times when you have can't remember how to spell a difficult word like the or your own email
really
or something
tired,
like that?
Can't remember
what it is.
Cousin's name.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then you've had times where you're in the flow where after you do something, you're like, I did that. I don't know how I did it, but I did it.
Absolutely.
I was in the flow. Well, you're the same person. The only difference is state. So training yourself to be in a peak state every day. I mean, you think about a great businessman. Think of a great entertainer like Elton John has been around in rock and roll for 40, how many years is it? 40 years?
70s, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's mind-boggling. And most people still like some sample of his music. Well, he's got to have days when he gets up to entertain when he thinks, if you make me sing that Daniel song one more time, I'm going postal, right? But he never does. Every single time he's in that same beautiful state. That's not because he's naturally like that. He's trained himself to do that. Like a great athlete trains himself. That's what leaders have to do. The state of the union, the state of the company is the culture. And the culture starts at the head. Whoever that leader is, their state impacts everybody else. So training yourself to be in that peak state is the key to it all. I think ferocity of spirit is critical for everybody, but we all have it. It's like a muscle.
Do we all have it?
Yeah, we do. Courage unused, though, becomes weaker. You know, determination unused gets smaller. Passion unexpressed gets smaller. It's like any muscle, the more you use it. And he's been using it for years. You know, his son, though, here's the other thing. He had a reason larger than himself. You see the pattern in all the people that have overcome. He wanted to do for his son. At the time, he told me about his worried about all his employees, and he really cares about his people. But here's the secret, though. You have to make that shift where it's no longer an excuse. If you give yourself an excuse, humans will take it. If you're going to take the island, you burn the boats. And he burned the boats and said, I'm going to find the answer. First, he shifted his psychology, came to my business mastery program, and then he got the skills. Because like I said earlier, it's not just confidence. You got to have skill, and he had both, and he found the way. Show them what you did.
Yeah, after that particular business mastery program, again, as Tony says, 80% of it is psychology, and then 20% of it is mechanics or the strategies. Yeah. But unless you get the psychology down, the mechanics don't matter. And I can tell you from that day in November of 2008 where I made that decision that I was not going to fail, and I kissed my lady and said, I'm going back to work. And we went out there and I learned how to export. And when there was no market for steel in the United States, I was able to export to several different companies or several different countries. And we took off from there. We continued to grow. And it was just, again, it's about a mindset. It's about having a level of pride. For me, it was coming from where I come from. The Melio name didn't mean a whole heck of a lot. And I was determined to change that because it's something of what I call generational influence. I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for my son.
The other thing you should do if you're not very industrious is discipline yourself. And so what do you do with that? Eat 3 times a day at regular meal times. That's a good thing to practice, because that starts to put some stability into your life. Get up at the same time. I would highly recommend all those young people out there who are listening, like, you want to get a jump on life, get the hell out of bed in the morning. You know, as I've got older, I've got up earlier and earlier. Now, that's partly because you don't need as much sleep, but it's also partly because I've got more and more disciplined. Like, get up early in the morning and get your things done. Man, learn to get up at 6 in the morning and you'll be one deadly creature, especially if you can get to work. You'll have half your damn day done by the time other people haul their sorry asses out of bed. And so that's a massive, massive advantage. Look, Warren Farrell, not the comedian, Warren Farrell, the author, he outlined data in Why Men Earn More, which is a book I would recommend, by the way, showing that if you work 13% longer hours, you make 40% more money. It's nonlinear. So you think, why is that? Well, imagine you had 10 employees and one of them works an extra 10%. It's not much. Well, how often is that person going to be promoted? Assuming you have a clue as a boss. It's like you're going to look at the 10 people and you're going to think, oh, that guy's always here like 45 minutes early. It's like, why don't we give him the promotion? Obviously, right? So these small edges that you can manage like that, work an extra 10% or extra 13%, have non-proportional payoffs. That's part of the Pareto distribution. So get your sleep cycle organized so you get up in the morning. Learn how to do it. No excuses. I'm too tired in the morning. I don't like mornings. Who cares? That's not relevant. It's like discipline yourself so you can manage it. Schedule your meals, because that's a good disciplinary routine. And then learn to use a calendar, like Google Calendar. Most of you, many of you out there, do not use a calendar. Okay, a calendar is not a prison, and it's not a tyrant. Not if you use it properly. A calendar keeps anxiety at bay. It makes sure that you do what you need to do, which is important, because otherwise you fall behind. But if you use it properly, it's also helps you plan what you want to do. So I could say, well, lay out your damn calendar and design the days you would like to have. That's what your calendar is for. So you can put in all sorts of things in there you want to do and that would be good for you. And that's a really good way to start being more industrious. Make a plan. You need a plan for 3 years. You need a plan for the next year. You need a plan for the next 6 months. You need a plan for the next 3 months. You need a plan for the week. You need a plan for the day. You need a plan for the hour. All of that. I make lists constantly of what I have to do. And they're like daily, weekly, monthly, yearly. Right now, I can't look out more than about 6 months, because my life is too complicated and chaotic. But you need a vision of who you could be, what character you could have. 3 to 5 years out, you can't go much farther than that because life is too unpredictable, I think, to make vision that's longer term than that subject to, there's too much chance associated with it to spend a lot of time on. Maybe you can stretch it to 5 years, and in rare cases, you can have a 10-year goal, but it has to be pretty low resolution. But you want plans at all those levels of resolution. You want to write the things down. And because what are you going to do? You're going to stumble around and get what you need? You're going to stumble around and be useful to other people? And it's useful to be useful to other people, you know. They want to work with you then. They want to do things with you. They want to have you around. They trust you. They open up opportunities for you. And if you stumble around like you're blind, you're not going to get anywhere. And then you're going to suffer. And then you're going to be bitter. And then you're going to be cruel. So that's hell. That's a bad outcome.
Next is desire, wanting to bad enough, and I don't know how to tell you to want to. You have to come up with that. There are two things, however, that I know about desire. First, it comes from inside, not outside. You don't send off for it, although some people try. And second, desire can be triggered. Sometimes it waits and sleeps, waiting for something to happen. And who knows what that trigger, that happening might be. Maybe it's a song, maybe it's a sermon, maybe it's a movie, a lecture, a seminar. Maybe it's a conversation with a friend, a confrontation with an enemy, an event, a day, a bitter experience. Whatever it is, it's good. Sometimes from the bitterest experience comes the greatest awakening. Here is some of my best advice to you. Welcome every human experience. You never know which one is going to turn it all on. Don't keep up the walls. The same wall that keeps out disappointment keeps out happiness. Let life touch you. Don't let it kill you, but let it touch you. It could be the neck touch that makes the day that turns your life around. And here is the last emotion, resolve. Resolve says, I will. Two of the most powerful words in the language, I will. Benjamin Disraeli once said, nothing can resist a human will that will stake even its existence on the extent of its purpose. Shortly put, I'll do it or die. That could be the day. The man says, I will climb the mountain. They've told me it's too high, it's too far, it's too steep, it's too rocky, it's too difficult, but it's my mountain. I will climb it. Pretty soon you will see me waving from the top or dead on the side because I'm not coming back. Hey, that's powerful. Time and fate and circumstance call a hasty conference, and they all agree. We might as well let John have it. He says he's going to get it or die. Wow, that's it. Resolve. The best definition of resolve I ever heard was from a junior high girl in Foster City, California. I'm talking to the junior high kids, and I asked the question, who can tell me what resolve means? I got several hands. Some were pretty good, but the last one was the best. She said, I think resolve means promising yourself you will never give up. I said, that's it. Best I've heard. Promise yourself you will never give up. I asked the kids, how long should a baby try to learn how to walk? How long would you give the average baby before you shut him off? You say that's crazy. Any mother in the world would say my baby is going to keep trying until it learns how to walk. No wonder almost everyone walks. What a magic formula. The until formula. Good question. How long are you going to work to make your dreams of wealth and happiness come true? I suggest the until formula. It's the best. Emotions, disgust, decision, desire, resolve. Now let me give you the third part of the equation. That equation that gets results. It's action. Disciplined action. There's a famous line that says, don't just be listeners, be doers. That's it, doers. The whole world loves the doers. That's what makes the wealth and the winning. Doing, disciplined, emotional action.
Do you know, to the degree that you are giving, to that degree determines how much you enjoy life, how meaningful your life is. There are things, ladies and gentlemen, I used to do I can't do now. That is unbecoming for the role that I have selected with where I am in my life and what I want to contribute to life. It is inconsistent. I can't do it. Even if I desire to do it, I can't do it. No, because it doesn't fit, because of my vision of myself and the contribution that I want to make to life. Because it's not enough to give the message, you must also be the message. Next thing is that we must give out of a sense of oughtness. Immanuel Kant, in a book called Critique of Pure your reasoning. He says, sometimes we must give out of a sense of oughtness, that certain things that happen, that we just say something ought to be done about this. A policeman in Washington, D.C. was working one of his patrol areas, and he came up to a car in a park, and the car was running, and he saw a figure slumped over the steering wheel. He got there looking in with a flashlight, and he saw a 14-year-old boy with a bullet through the back of his head. And he said, oh no, he has a son himself. That could have been his son. And he says, something ought to be done. We're losing too many young people. And so this man went home. He had like several $1,000s worth of exercise equipment in his basement. He rented a place. He started bringing the kids in to get them involved in taking care of their bodies and physical exercise and athletic activity. He now has expanded that to getting them involved in entrepreneurial ventures, saying that this is a free enterprise system, and the more enterprising you are, the freer you are. And now these kids have started their own business. They have a little shopping center that they run, they operate, they are managing, and they have commercials on radio, and I'm going to be going there doing some training with them. So he decided, because of that event, that I ought to do something. Now, some of the things that's going to happen when you look out and see what can I contribute to, what can I give, I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have a voice that's saying, it's just no use. It's out of control now. There will be a voice telling you that you'll be wasting your time and wasting your energy and wasting your effort. I say, don't listen to it. Listen to that still small voice that says, I can do something, and I ought to do it. We ought to do it. Disraeli said this. Nothing can resist the will of a people that will stake even their existence on the extent of their purpose for good. I strongly believe that as we begin to look toward the future, and that as each day we get up in the morning, and be it that you're going to give to make the environment safer for everybody on the planet, be it that you're going to do things to help the sick or the physically disabled or recovering crack cocaine addicts, be it that you want to help and contribute to youth or do something for the homeless, whatever you want to do, if you get up in the morning out of a sense of oughtness and decide that I am an opening for the universe, that life can work through and use me as a channel and as an instrument for change. And each day we get up, we make it our personal business to make a difference in those areas that we're concerned about. How are we going to do it? We don't know, but we know that we can make a difference.
God can bring down. He can shut it down. That's why you got to live with a certain amount of humility. I don't care how many skyscrapers you build, how many jets you own, how strong your technology. God don't care nothing about none of that. When God gets ready to shut you down, he shut down the whole world with a virus we can't even see. And not one atomic bomb did anybody any good. Not one supersonic jet did anybody any good. Not IBM, not Xerox, not Google, not nobody could do anything about it. God used something we never even thought of. A bug from a bird shut down the planet. You don't know what God's gonna fight with, but I declare God's gonna get you out of this. Oh, you didn't hear what I said. I feel like dancing right where I stand. You don't know who God's going to use, but God's going to get you out of this. He doesn't have to use the deacons and the church mothers and the intercessors and the bishops and the prayer warrior. When God gets ready to use you, he can bring an idolatress. He can bring a whoremonger. God has a way of using stuff that you never even thought about. He'll use a jawbone of an ass. He'll lose 2 fish and 5 loaves. When God says enough, he'll use whatever he wants to use. He'll use anybody he wants to use. He'll touch anybody he wants to touch. He'll use a harlot like Rahab. When God says enough, he'll let a nation that you should be able to beat you. He'll let AI conquer you even after you conquer Canaan. When God gets ready to bring you out, he'll use anything. And all of a sudden he began to turn everything around. Babylon was someplace that they thought would never be destroyed. Babylon was strong and fierce. Babylon was posted by the rivers of the Euphrates. It started out as a small port. It grew into a great empire. They were ruling and conquering and taking over. But they messed around and they took God's children down into bondage. And when God got sick of it, he brought it to an end and he stopped it. And Babylon is reaping what they sowed. Fret not thyself over evildoers and how they prosper in their own way. Sooner or later, God will cause them to reap what they sow. You might be outnumbered, They may have more money. They may have more contacts. But when God gets ready to bring you out, he will bring you out. I don't know who I'm preaching to, but I feel like I'm talking to somebody. If I'm talking to you, just type win, 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 win. When the Lord turned again our captivity, we were like them that dream. In one moment, the weeping turned to laughter. Then was our mouth filled with laughter and our tongue with singing. The very people who were hanging their harps by the willow trees and weeping when they remembered Zion are now giggling and laughing because God has a win. I am telling all of you that are suffering and all of you that are in agony and all of you that are secretly suicidal and all of you that are depressed, don't get too used to being depressed. Don't get too used to being down because God owns a win. And when God says win, he will bring it to an end, and the same lips that quivered with tears and the same face that cried itself to sleep and the same person who rolled over and over in agony and couldn't rest at night, God will make you burst out and start laughing. When the Lord turned again our captivity, it was like a dream.
what happened. When you were that little boy or that little girl, at some point you felt those feelings. Prove them right, because there's an end to your life, and it's coming sooner than you think. It goes by like this. Just yesterday, Max was 6 years old in the car wash. He's going off to college next year. Just yesterday, she was 8 months old. Now she's got a boyfriend. Just yesterday, I was a young, cool guy. Just yesterday, me and my girlfriend were walking on the beach. Someday, I'm going to do that. It goes by in a flicker, just like that, in a blink. I don't care how young you are, in a blink. And at some point, it's going to be over. And I have this obsession as a Christian. When I die, I hope the Lord says, well done, good and faithful servant. But I got this hallucination. And even if you're not religious, I guarantee you this happened. I think when I die, I'm going to run into Papa. I'm going to get to see him again. And you're going to run into that person. You're going to get to see him again. Him and the Lord are going to be sitting there, and they're going to say, hey, I want to introduce you to somebody. This was the woman you were born to be. This was the man you were born to be. Your twin's going to be there. This is who you were born to be. These are the people you could have helped, the memories you could have had, the things you could have accomplished, how you could have felt about yourself, the things you'd have seen, done, and become. Papa's going to show, this is who you could have been. This is who I saw you to be. I couldn't say it. I didn't understand it, but I felt it. I knew you were going to be this person. Meet him. To me, heaven when we die is we meet that person we were capable of being, destined to be, and we're identical twins. Hell is you meet them and you're total stranger. You meet them and they look at you. You don't even know each other. You didn't go the places I went. You didn't help the things. Didn't feel the way about yourself. Total stranger. Dude, my obsession in my life, the reason I'm here to swear it's my obsession in my life when I be identical. He's going to meet me and go, hey man, proud of you. Been watching you this whole time. Man, you did it. You got off track there for a while. It took you a little while. You're a late starter. But man, you did it. You accomplished it all. You did it all. You became the man you were born to be. I'm proud of you. And I'm going to say, brother, I've been chasing you all these years. I'm running down that guy. I'm running him down. Every decision I make when I'm down and lazy and depressed and bummed out like I've been this week, and I'm not feeling good, I don't do things based on how I feel. I do things based on who I am. And who I am is that guy.
I know most people don't make definite plans, but don't let that be you. The guy says, well, you work where I work, but the time you get home, it's late. You've got to have a bite to eat, watch a little TV, and get to bed. You can't sit up half of the night and plan. And this is the guy who's behind on his car note. He's a good worker, hard worker, sincere. But I've discovered that you can be sincere and work hard all your life and wind up broke and embarrassed. You've got to be better than a good worker. You've got to be a good planner, a good goal setter. You've heard the old saying, the people who fail to plan are planning to fail. It's true, so work on your plans. Put yourself in the top few percent who put this power to work for themselves. Writing your goals down also shows you are serious. And to do better, you must get serious. You don't have to be grim, but you do have to be serious. Hey, everybody hopes things will get better, but remember, the future does not get better by hope. It gets better by plan. And hope unaided by clear plans can finally become an illness. There's a Bible phrase that says, hope long delayed makes the heart sick. It's a sickness. I used to have the illness known as passive hope. It's bad. And there's one that is even worse, and that is called happy hope. That is really bad. The man is 50, and he's broke, and he's still smiling.
Physically engage your body. If you ask you a question, yell back the answer. Or in a few minutes, I'm going to ask you to actively engage in a different level. Engage with each other. Do some crazy things you wouldn't normally do. What that does, it brings up engagement, 80-90% retention, because now it's not just a thought or a right, it's a feeling in your body as well. And if you do that, you're going to retain it. Who's up for doing more and holding on to more? Say I. Then to do that, I'm going to ask a couple of things. One is, if I ask you a question, please yell out the answer. You're already doing that. You're being very kind, but don't be kind anymore. Do it with more passion and intensity, because I'm not going to ask you questions you don't know the answer to, because I want you to feel good about you. But if you yell out the answer, you'll activate your body's nervous system. Make sense? And the more you activate, the more energy you'll have. We live in a passive society, and if we're going to engage, by the way, the companies that engage, the companies that have records of 24 at the top 25% in the country, highest levels of engagement of employees, companies like Google, companies like Salesforce, companies like Apple, companies like Facebook. And by the way, guess what all the research shows? 22% more profitability, almost 1 for 1. For every percentage of increased engagement, you almost get an increase in profitability. But I would argue you get that in your personal life as well. The more engaged you are, the more the other person will become engaged. You want to get somebody engaged? You get engaged. Think about it. Everyone in this room is a leader. What's our job to do as a leader? Our job is maximize resources, right? How do we take whatever resource and get more out of it? Ourselves, other people, our economics, our business, our technology. That's the job of a leader. But you can't maximize resources if you don't have full engagement. So I'd like to see if we could increase that. And so one simple way of doing that, increasing that engagement, is to start with us. Because by the way, are you going to engage other people if you're not engaged? Yes or no? Yes or no? Are you going to be able to touch other people if you're not touched? Are you going to move other people if you're not moved? And so, by the way, here's the problem. How many of you wake up on? You have certain days you wake up and you think to yourself, today, I don't want to talk to any people.
Touch somebody and say, I got a flow in my ministry. I got a flow in my ministry. It's not about the money. It's about the ministry. It's about the purpose. I got to find my place. I've got to go. Can you imagine what it was like for Elisha to go in the house and tell his mom and dad, somebody else is going to have to take over the family business. I will not be around next harvest season. I got to go. I know you're getting old, Dad, and I know you can't run this plow anymore, but you're going to have to get somebody. And you had all these plans of what I would be, but I'm called to a different direction. It's hard to tell your parents you're called to do something different other than what they had envisioned for you to do. That's why Jesus said, if you follow me, you got to hate your mother and father. He said, you got to love me more than you love anybody, because sometimes I'm going to send a sword of division between you and what you were connected to, because I have called you to serve on another level and in another capacity. Am I talking to anybody? And he boils his ox, and he burns his plow, and he kisses his mother and father goodbye, and the Bible says something that is amazing, and I just read it to you. It says that Elijah, after he kissed his mother and father goodbye, he ran after Elijah that he might minister unto him. Wow. And I preached it for years and never noticed that Elijah was called to minister to the minister, to feed the feeder, to help the helper. He was called to work in kitchen. There was an anointing on him to bring his organizational administrative skills to the kingdom. And he had to get untangled from all the distractions that were stopping him from full commitment to what he was called to. And if you're in a support ministry, you can't serve two masters. You can't just do this on the side when you finish, when you get ready. You have to come to a point in your life that you can focus on the thing you've been called to do and really commit your efforts, because people get dumb when they come to church. They park their mind in the parking lot right beside the car. They do. People who are real smart and helpful in corporate America come in church and get spiritual and stupid. They don't bring their technology, their skills, their talent into the kingdom. They melt into a melting pot and they're afraid to be bright. You need to bring your brightness with you. Come here armed with all the stuff that you've been trained to do and lay it down at the altar and say, all that I have, oh God, I lay it before you. Elijah starts following him, because as he begins to minister to the minister, he finds three things. He finds him in this order. The first thing he finds is his purpose. I was born to do this. Mom, don't cry. Daddy, you look so disappointed. I'm leaving a managerial position in a secular environment to become a servant in a church. You're going to do what? Yeah, I'm going to follow this man of God around and pour water on his hand. Are you out of your mind? Do you know how much this business is worth? Yes, but do you know how much it's worth to find my purpose? And so sometimes you have to be willing to be a fool for Christ and do something foolish to do something right. He found his purpose, pouring water on the prophet's hand. He did not know that him ministering to the minister was killing the depression that had put the minister in the cave. And without Elijah's ministry would have died in the cave. Like Aaron and Hur lifting up the hands of Moses, there are people who are called to help you look good at what you do. And so even though they're not the ones on the stage, they create the stage that the one stands on. And that's the support ministry. Oh, they don't shake your hand at the back door and say, oh, that message changed my life. But if you don't provide the stage, I will fall from the platform, because you are the stage on which you stand.
you.